Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Stan the Radio Man, and we're bringing Friday to an end and looking forward to the weekend. And then it will be a weekend, at least here in the United States, where it'll be a shorter week because then we have the big 4th of July Independence holiday, which will take place toward the end of the week, which of course will lead to a long weekend. So this is kind of a weekend with a short work week and a long weekend to come. So a number of people are using this opportunity to make their way on vacation. And we're told that the airports are going to be busier and the streets and highways are going to be busier than maybe ever before. So a lot of us are saying, I wonder if we should just stay home and maybe listen to our favorite podcast or watch our favorite radio program. Yeah, a radio program that's live, or perhaps we're going to enjoy the movie at home type thing. It is a time for rest, reflection. I think it's a time for gratitude. Those of us in the United States have a variety of freedoms because of what happened on the 4th of July, 1776. And we should be thankful for that. Every holiday, in many ways, should be a holy day. That's where the word comes from. That's where it all began. And that means that there was something given on that day or something happened on that day that perhaps a little bit of divine providence and divine power and perhaps some divine purpose was behind what happened and what we celebrate. Just a thought. Today, I'd like to talk to you briefly about what happened here in America with Joseph Biden, and then just share with you what I call some of the 5 words that might help us do what we do on Friday, and that's about transformation. We're going to be involved in being and perhaps bringing into being certain things that are transformative. How do we do that? That's the program for today. It's short, to the point, and hopefully helpful, and it begins right now. Here we go. Yesterday evening, the well-anticipated, and certainly people thought this will be significant, was that Joseph Biden, President Joe Biden, and former President Donald Trump were in a debate. And it was going to be, obviously, one president, one former president, debating for the position again. And I don't know if that has ever really happened. If it ever has happened, at least I, as an American history teacher, am not sure that we've ever had a debate like that before. And that was going to happen. Now, I am old enough to remember the actual first debate. And as a media person, this was always interesting to me to understand how the media could work differently. Let's go back. I was a boy, but I still remember it because I was a good student and I was interested in politics. But the first debate was in 1960, and it was between Richard Nixon, who had been the vice president under President Eisenhower, and a newcomer, John F. Kennedy, who was the senator from Massachusetts. And these two men came together, and the idea that they would have a debate on television was a new and powerful idea. And I remember that. Now, what happened was that the people who watched the debate on television, and this has been talked about recently in the modern news, but I remember it personally, the majority thought that John F. Kennedy had won the debate. The majority of people who heard it on the radio thought Nixon had won the debate. Now, neither one of them, smashed the other one, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on your point of view. It wasn't like what happened to Joe Biden, which was obviously very, very sad for him and for his followers. But it truly has made his re-election a problem for him. And that will make half America perhaps glad and the other half mad, But the interesting thing was that difference was they had seen and they had heard. Now, the point was that what had happened to Nixon was that he hadn't been feeling very good. He'd been sick, and he'd lost some weight, which meant that actually he should have gotten a better fitting shirt. It was a little bit loose. He always had I'm the same guy. I need to shave late afternoon if I do something in the evening. He had a heavy beard, what was called, the 5 o'clock shadow. At least that's what is referred to. And he didn't look nearly as nice and bright as Kennedy, who had just come off from a vacation and he was suntanned. Obviously, he was a handsome young man, very charming. And those people who saw the two of them together felt that he had won the debate. However, those who didn't necessarily, see it, that just had heard it, they had a different perception. And that's always important to remember. Now, it would have been interesting, and they didn't do it, at least not that I know of, if they would have actually taken both of the men and put their particular part into a transcript in which you don't see, you don't hear, you just read. And I wonder what would have been the response if the people could have had to make their decision on reading what Nixon said and then reading what John F. Kennedy said. That's why I oftentimes say is, here's the topic coming up next week. Don't type, don't text, talk. Don't type, don't text, talk. Pick up the telephone. And more, I'm doing more and more of that. I'm trying not to text. I'm trying to send less and less emails. But more and more, the people who work with me are discovering that I will pick up the phone and I will leave a message or hopefully reach them. But either way, they will hear me and we will talk and we will communicate and we will go back and forth. And our voice, our tone, our energy, all of that will be a part of our communication. So that's part of the lesson that I think came out of that debate that could be useful for us. And particularly if you're going to be involved in getting people to make significant changes in their life. The text, the type, even the book oftentimes will not have the same result of the spoken word or of the spoken and expressed word, the spoken and expressed and the picture word that is put forward. Just let that sit on your head for a while. Hey, we're at 6 minutes, but let me take you to the next step. One of the things we have said about our Fridays is we are in the business of helping my good friend Joe Pine and a number of others who very, very much believe that we just don't want changes. We want transformations. You can change things. But actually, transformation primarily refers to the changed things came from changed people. Changed people doing changed things lead to changed people. And when the change happens first to you and then maybe to others. And if it is significant in any way, it's a transformation, or close to perhaps even a simple transformation. And that's what we're trying to learn how to do, how to be a transformed person so that we can lead people into personal and organizational and relational and maybe political and perhaps spiritual, life-changing transformations. And that's what we're trying to do. We'd love to hear your story. I just had the privilege this past week to listen to stories of two men who went through transformations. And one of them, I'll just kind of prelude this for next week. The gentleman's name is, it's Sandy. We'll just call him right now Sandy. But he's a big, tall man. He was a young man playing basketball. And he tells the story that the person he admired was Michael Jordan. And what happened was he had always wanted to be a pilot. He had always wanted to fly. And the thing that got him was that Michael Jordan, and many of you may remember how he played basketball, came from here right in North Carolina, the University of North Carolina. And he made the statement, "I can fly." Now, it might only be for a few seconds, but I can fly. And so this man decided that he wanted to fly. And so he started to learn how to jump and how to do tiptoes. And in effect, he was good enough that he could do a dunk, a high school player who could do a dunk. And that was a number of years ago. So it wasn't something that every high school player could do, but he was good size and he could dunk. And in fact, his basketball team became state champions. And what happened was that he became the national slam dunk champion. I mean, they had a champion, where these high school boys, and there may have been girls, but probably not at that time, how well they could slam dunk. And he became the national champion. Well, obviously, he's looking forward to a great, career, college and perhaps the NBA. And then he said, being that I'm from Colorado, of course, I decided I wanted to go skiing. And that's when an accident happened and it wrecked his knee. And there, all of his hopes and dreams and aspirations to be a star basketball player were gone. And now what do you do? Well, it turns out that came to be a transforming time for him, and his life has now been lived, and more he is seeking to help other people better understand that their life should be different. They should be unusual. They should seek to be living out the transformation that they were made for. The transformation that you were made for. I'm Stan Houston, Stan the Radio Man. These are interesting ideas helping us to perhaps live a transformed life. And we'll give you the 5 words and what they might mean and how they might be helpful to you when we come back. Okay, here we go. I just want to put these words in front of you right now, okay? I'm very much trying in my own life, both as a business performance coach, which I do a lot of work there, uh, in what we call the Jesus Entrepreneur Experience, in which I'm trying to show you that if you want to be an entrepreneur and be a change maker and perhaps a entrepreneurial transformation person, you need to look to the person and the practices of Jesus. Yeah. Whatever else you think of him as, and I think of him as everything he claimed to be, but there is even more to him than that. He came to teach us how to live and how to live well, how to live a transformed life. And one of the things I have put together are these things that might go into a transformed person being and living a transformed life and doing transforming things. A strong sense of purpose. Who are you and why are you here? Power. More power to you. You understand that power requires that you live under pressure. As my friend would say, I had to have the power to slam dunk, and then later on, he could do 7-foot high jumps. That takes power. Well, of course, that career was lost also. Poise, self-confidence, calmness, peace of mind, maybe even fearless. Poise. Number 4, prayer. You have to understand that there is a mystery in life, and there are powers available and powers that affect us and powers that we can use that we may not see or be aware of, but figure out what it means to pray. What is prayer? How do you do it? How does it work? And then the simple word, okay, what's step 1? Like the alcoholic who wants to be transformed, they're told, okay, there are 12 steps. Here's step 1. This is step 1 of the plan. There you go. So may you just think about that this weekend in your own life. Strong sense of purpose, seeking and acquiring greater power, living with greater power and personal poise. I pray a lot. I even am a prayer. And I have a plan. I'm one of the 3% who are living life with purpose, power, poise, prayer, and a plan. Thank you. Thank you for listening. I hope this is helpful. I can be helpful to you. Reach out to me. We can get you on the radio so that you can have your wisdom, insight, and truth go worldwide. We can be with you as a coach so we can help you make the very best version of yourself possible. And we can teach you how to be a world-class entrepreneur. That's right. You never work for anybody. You work with other bodies. That's right. The person you work for is you and your company and your business and your organization. And you have yours, your own radio station, and you are one of the people who has been transformed, and you have the privilege and the pleasure of perhaps bringing that wonderful possibility to others. Thank you. StanHouston@gmail.com. StanHouston@gmail.com. Witradio.net will introduce you at least to the element of our radio work. And sometimes if you just want to go to a YouTube channel, put my name in, and there's probably a different 1,000 videos out there. See what one comes up. And there's a good chance it just might be useful. Chances. Do that. Take care. Have a good weekend. We'll see you probably next week as we prepare to live a transformed life with power and effectiveness and purpose next week too. And you'll join us. Bye for now.